So I'm in Baltimore right now at the Maryland Film Festival. We just screened Any Other Way, film that I worked on a few years ago, which is now out. So we had a premiere at South by Southwest in Austin. Then we showed it in Toronto, like my hometown, maybe last weekend. Now I'm in Baltimore at the Maryland Film Festival, and it went really great. Everybody loved it, which was really awesome. Sparked great conversation. I've been in a lot of ad accounts lately. I have been talking to a number of entrepreneurs. So in this video, I am going to tell you 5 mistakes that I see people make in their brand. These mistakes definitely hinder people's ability to have a brand that stands out, have a brand they feel good about, and make one that's just has clarity. So I'm gonna get right into them because I like when videos just get right into stuff, even though I gave a bit of a preamble about where I am. So the first one is having a name that you can't pronounce. I've seen this on a number of occasions. Basically, people will name their brand something like, for instance, this is a good example. Now, it works for them. I got this saline mist. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I'm a little bit sick. Ire? Yeah, I think ire. I mean, so this isn't that bad, but I would say don't do this. Even though they have clearly some success and they're being carried at Walgreens, I'd say that it's better to have a brand that people can pronounce. Now, there are brands where that's an exception to the rule. Like, I'd say Mejuri, if you know that jewelry company, Mejuri, I believe, or Mu. I think that's how you spell it. Mejuri. Once you hear it, you're like, okay, I get it. But I would say in most cases, you do not want to name anything, any products, services, offers, something that people cannot say and they cannot read. So that's the first thing you don't want to do. The second mistake is using videos and photos that do not reflect the target market. I see this constantly when I look at people's websites or I look at their Instagram, and they tell me that their audience is one way, but the images and the videos look nothing like that at all. Or they're kind of like very stocky. Clearly, the brand or the company didn't take them themselves, which is getting less and less effective. If it looks like you didn't take the pictures yourself, it breaks trust. And I get that sometimes people don't want to put themselves, like I'll talk to, let's say, a coaching business or a course business, and they're leading it. They're the ones running it, and yet they're still using stock images. They're still using images of other people, and bad images too, to convey their brand or their message or their product. Better that they just shoot stuff themselves. Better that they just put themselves in the video. Now, I understand not everybody wants to do that. There are ways to find videos that don't feel so fake or images that don't feel so fake, and there's an art to that. But it's a big mistake that I see. You want to make sure that the photos, the creative direction, the images reflect the people who you want to buy the stuff, that reflect the emotions that you want them to be conveyed in. Like, sometimes I go to a site and it's all product images. There's no pictures of people at all. That's also a mistake. It's not on my list, but it's a mistake, because you need people to be able to see themselves in the product. You need people to be able to think about what it would be like to experience the product or service, and see at least somebody, and conveying the emotion that you want them to convey. So that's the second mistake, is that don't use images and photos that do not fit emotionally, culturally, age, race, location, like obviously the demographic stuff, but also the psychographic stuff. If your product is about delivering happiness, or people are going to feel good when they use it, make sure people look happy. The third mistake I see is that people have no upsells, no downsells, and no cross sells. So for anyone who doesn't know what it is, that is an upsell is when you offer something that's more expensive, either before or after someone's bought. A downsell is when you offer something less expensive before or after they bought. And a cross sell is when you offer something that is another product that combines with that product, usually at checkout, but sometimes it could be after, sometimes that it could even be before. Amazon does a lot of cross-selling, for instance. I mean, they do all of those things. But whether or not you are a course business, you are a product business, whether it's physical, whether it's digital, whether it's a service, there should be some element of paying more or paying less for something, or saying, hey, you bought this, you should also buy this. I was speaking to a skateboard company a while ago, and I was like, we need to create the experience of your store online. That's the part that you're missing. So I was trying to get him to think of some upsells and downsells, and I was like, what do you offer people in the store? Like, what do you tell people when they're at checkout? He's like, well, I usually offer them a skateboarding tool, to fix their wheels, fix their, what are those called? Trucks. And I was like, that's exactly what should be on the site. When someone checks out on the site, they should have an opportunity to buy the truck. Now, it's a downsell, or buy the tool. It's a downsell because the skateboard, let's say, is $200 and that little tool is maybe $6, but you're increasing that average order value. That's something they wouldn't have gotten had they not bought the other thing. And this is true of courses as well, of consulting. Like in my consulting practice, try to offer, at least a couple price points, or at least some hybrid model to say, okay, for this price, I'll work with you for this long, or you get this much access or this much one-to-one, and for this price, I'll work with you for this long. Obviously, you get it. But those things are important. And it doesn't need to be a straight value ladder, like you have to ascension from this, or a descension model. Like you start here and then you go down. I think there can be flexibility in where people interact with your products and services, and how, I might do one video for a large company, and then I'll say, hey, like we could do it this way, or we could do it this way, and it's like double the price. But I explain why and how. So your brand should have that, or some of that going on. Now, the fourth mistake is focusing only on first-time buyers. I talk to a lot of companies, and they're like, we just need more customers. That is true. You need more customers, but you also need to put some attention into the people who've already bought stuff. You also need to offer them more stuff, and this ties into the upsells, downsells, cross-sells thing. It doesn't just have to be at checkout. It can be further down your sales pipeline. But the repeat buyers, the customers you already have, maintaining that mind share, maintaining that loyalty is going to yield you more money over time. It's going to increase that profitability. And if you just focus on first-time buyers, you are going to plateau your margins. And it is very important. You just can't live on first-time buyers forever, especially in today's day and age where stuff is just getting more and more expensive. I'm running ads for a company right now. They literally live off of cold Facebook traffic, and they're like, it's so expensive now. It's so much harder to get people. I'm like, yeah, it is. We're not getting 200, 300 leads anymore. I'm trying to focus on getting them more quality so that obviously more people convert, higher intent buyers that are just more qualified in general. But I digress on that. My main point being that if you only try and get cold people, like people who do not know about your brand or your business at all, to buy, is going to be very hard to scale over time. I use Nike as an example of this over time. Nike does not advertise to first-time buyers, because at the end of the day, every single person on the planet already owns their shit. They already own 10, 20, 30 pieces of their stuff. The point that they're trying to do is to continue to get people to buy from them. Now, you don't need to be Nike or that big or any of those things, but there's a lesson to be learned in that you need to continue to engage with people who know about you, with people who follow you on Instagram, with people who have bought stuff in the past. Have a strategy for that, whether it's an email strategy, a content strategy, or an organic content strategy, any of those things. If you want to talk about any of that stuff, reach out, and that's the type of stuff I help people figure out. And the last and final mistake is building creative that looks exactly like somebody else. You see a company that's kind of like you, and you're like, oh, this company sells exactly what we sell. Let's just make exactly the same stuff. We'll just shoot the exact same models, and we'll stage it and style it the exact same way. Or we'll just, oh, this is like a flooring company, so I guess we'll just put pictures of floors. Now, that is smart in some ways. You should look at other people's stuff and find some sort of creative through line to be inspired by, but do not make the stuff the exact same. Whether that's using a different lens, whether that's deciding to, like in this example of wood flooring company, photograph a different wood, maybe from a different angle, maybe at a different type of day, maybe in a different room. Don't just do the living room. Maybe you installed wood in the basement, or maybe you did it in some cool man cave. It's like, what is our unique POV here? And I'll bring it back to even more, like, let's say a consulting coach model, because that is a lot of people obviously who watch YouTube videos and also really need to build their brands. It's like, make stuff, sure, and look at other people's inspiration. Like, for instance, me talking directly to camera, that's a lot of what people have done in the past to get messaging out there. But am I doing it the exact same way? I hope not. Because, and I need to push myself in that too. That it's not about coming on here and saying, like, I'm exactly this person, or I need to be in this exact setup. Like, I talk to people and they're like, I can't make videos or I can't make content because I don't have the setup that this person has. I don't have the lights in the back. I don't have that like dark room look. I don't have any of those things. It's like that doesn't matter. Do not make stuff exactly like other people. Test more things, experiment, find different locations, use what you have. I personally love making videos outside. That's some of my favorite stuff to do, but I can't always be outside. Right now I'm in this hotel room. But in general, it's very, very important to not copy exactly. And this is true of product brands, it's true of software companies, it's true of basically every kind of company out there, especially today, because there's too many businesses out there. And this is why branding is so important. This is what brand truly is at its core, at its essence, is differentiation through creativity. It's differentiation through the process of ideas and uniqueness. And when you're a personal brand, all of that uniqueness like lives inside of you. Just keep following your heart. Now, if you're a product brand, it's a little bit more challenging, but it's really important that you find that unique POV, that you find that essence, so that you can say, this is our stuff, this is how we're going to do it. Doesn't matter if it doesn't look exactly like somebody else, because this represents who we are, and you can do that through a brand building. You can do that basically through brand building and through exercises in brand storytelling. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in another one. Cheers to your growth. Happy brand building.